At a time when RAM is extremely scarce and component prices are very high, there's simply no way to build a perfect gaming PC for under $300. But in this video, I'll show you how to build a $280 setup that can handle AAA titles, and its performance is extremely impressive. So let's go ahead and break down the parts right now. These are all the components I bought on eBay, and every single one of them is used. However, you don't really need to worry because at this point in time, these parts are still working very well. With the goal of gaming on a limited budget, I decided to prioritize AMD. Over the past few years, AMD has delivered great performance for the price, and that's the part I really like about this platform. More importantly, AMD also has an advantage when it comes to long-term CPU upgrades on the same platform, which helps save money down the line. Let's start with the motherboard and the CPU. For this build, I went with a budget motherboard because real-world gaming performance doesn't actually come from the motherboard itself. My choice here is the Asus A320MK. It uses the AM4 socket, a socket that AMD has kept across multiple CPU generations. That said, actual CPU support still depends on the chipset and the BIOS of each specific board. Compared to B-series boards, the A320 is much more basic. It doesn't support overclocking, but in return, you get a lower price. And for a budget gaming setup, it still delivers a very solid gaming experience. I picked up this motherboard for $56. Because it was missing the I/O shield, the price was a bit cheaper than usual. Next up is the CPU choice. With the AM4 platform, we actually have plenty of options, especially from the Ryzen 2000 and 3000 series. For this build, I went with the Ryzen 5 2600, a 6-core, 12-thread chip. That's often seen as one of the most well-balanced options in terms of performance, price, and overall stability. Paired with an A320 motherboard, the Ryzen 5 2600 makes a lot of sense, since it's already strong enough at stock clocks and doesn't require overclocking. Because of that, the CPU can run reliably over the long term without putting too much stress on the motherboard. I picked up this Ryzen 5 2600 on eBay for around $30. As an alternative, you could also consider the Ryzen 3 3200G, which offers slightly better single-core performance. However, when using an A320 board, the BIOS needs to be updated beforehand, and right now the 3200G is selling for around $45 on eBay. For storage, I went with a 500GB drive, which is enough for Windows and a few of my go-to games. In this build, I prioritized an NVMe SSD for faster load times and a smoother day-to-day experience. The drive I'm using here is a Kingston NVMe SSD priced at around $20. If you need more space for games or data, you can absolutely step up to a 1TB version depending on your needs. As for RAM, with prices being fairly high right now, I chose a bare module without a heatsink to keep the cost down. Here I'm running a single 8GB stick of G.Skill DDR4 at 3200 MHz. I bought it on eBay for $33. Of course, dual channel would deliver better performance, but with RAM costing as much as it does at the moment, I decided to stick with one stick for now. Once prices come down, I can easily add another 8GB module and upgrade to 16GB. The CPU I bought on eBay didn't come with a cooler, so I went with a basic air cooling solution. In this case, I'm using a 4-heat pipe air cooler from Tomato, which cost me around $12. Since this CPU doesn't run particularly hot, this setup is more than enough to keep temperatures stable while gaming. To pair with the CPU, I chose a graphics card from AMD as well, the MSI Radeon RX 5808GB. I picked this card up on eBay for around $55. The biggest advantage of the RX 580 is its 8GB of RAM, which gives it a clear edge over most 4GB cards in the same price range. You could also consider alternatives like the GTX 1050 Ti, GTX 1650, or the RX 574 GB. All of them can handle basic esports titles just fine. However, compared to the GTX 1050 Ti or GTX 1650, the RX 580 delivers noticeably stronger performance in many games. The trade-off is slightly higher power consumption, but it's still well within an acceptable range for this build. And by the end of the video, I'll show you the real-world FPS results in several AAA games, so we can see whether this setup is actually worth the money. For the power supply, I went with a used 750-watt unit. Realistically, this build doesn't actually need that much power. Around 600 watts would be plenty. However, since this is a second-hand PSU, I intentionally chose one with extra headroom to make sure the system stays stable over long-term use. The power supply I'm using here is a Cooler Master 750 watts, which I picked up for around $52. Finally, we have the case. I chose a white Zigmatech case, also bought used. What makes this one especially nice is that the seller had already installed 3 RGB LED fans, so once all the components are installed, the system is basically ready to go right out of the box. I managed to grab this case for about $26, which is a pretty solid deal overall. While putting the system together, I realized that this A320 motherboard didn't come with an I/O shield. At first, I thought it was a minor issue, but in reality, it looked pretty rough and left the rear ports completely exposed. I tried to fix this by using an I/O shield from a different motherboard. However, since it wasn't designed for this board, the port cutouts didn't line up. In the end, I had no choice but to trim and cut the shield so it would fit better. Once everything was done, the result wasn't perfect from a visual standpoint, but all the ports were properly covered and worked without any issues. All in, the total cost of this build comes in at around $280. Now I'm going to power it on and start testing its real-world performance. Next, we move on to game testing. I'll be playing a few popular titles, using settings that make the most sense for this configuration. We'll start with Tomb Raider, tested at 1440p on high settings. The frame rate stays between 180 and 190 FPS, with occasional peaks over 200 FPS. In more demanding scenes with heavier detail, it can drop to around 155 frames per second. In this title, the graphics card is doing most of the work, while CPU usage remains at a moderate level. Next up is The Witcher 3. I tested the game at 1080p on low settings. During gameplay, the frame rate stays consistently around 90 to 100 FPS. When moving through lighter areas, FPS can climb to around 120. For a graphically demanding title like The Witcher 3, the RX 580 is under heavy load most of the time, while the CPU isn't being pushed too hard. Next, I moved on to Cyberpunk 2077. A game that's demanding on both the CPU and the GPU. The game was tested at 1440p using medium settings. At this level, both the CPU and GPU have to work harder, with FPS ranging between 40 and 50 frames per second. In Cyberpunk 2077, the RX 580 is consistently running at high utilization. Next up is Fortnite. I tested the game at 1440p on low settings. FPS ranges between 70 and 90 frames per second, with occasional spikes over 100 FPS. However, frame pacing isn't completely stable. Even so, for a game like Fortnite, this setup still handles basic gameplay well, especially for new players. With 8GB of RAM, this system can still run many AAA titles and a number of esports games, but the experience isn't always perfectly smooth. Right now, 8GB is really just the minimum for gaming. I already have another 8GB stick on hand, and I'll be adding it to bring the total up to 16GB, then retesting to see how much performance improves. After upgrading to 16GB of RAM, I retested Cyberpunk 2077, and the improvement is very noticeable. FPS increased by around 20 frames compared to the 8 gigabyte setup, and now stays consistently above 70 FPS. More importantly, the stuttering and hitching are almost completely gone. Next, I retested Fortnite using the same resolution and settings. Here, the experience is significantly better. FPS is much more stable, sitting around 90 frames per second, with the sudden frame drops from before no longer showing up. After upgrading to 16 gigabytes of RAM, games like Cyberpunk 2077 run much smoother, with more stable frame rates and almost no noticeable stuttering during movement or loading. If you're building a budget gaming PC right now, 8 gigabytes of RAM is still playable. But if you have the option, going with 16 gigabytes is highly recommended. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to support the channel.